Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Westside Congregation. We are glad that you are joining us today for our online service. I am Susan Fox, Service Associate for this service. Our speaker is the Reverend Dr. Nancy Hechter, our consulting minister. Our program is titled Strong at the Broken Places. It is based on UU Principles 1 and 2, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And source number 1, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. We will be focusing our time together on healing from injuries of the spirit. We hope these principles will provide a strong foundation for this exploration. Our thanks today to Carol Eaglehart, who is our videographer. If you have never attended Westside before, we welcome you. We invite you to continue to join us for the online services in the future, and to visit us on site when that becomes a safe possibility. If you have questions about this congregation or who Unitarian Universalists are, please email Reverend Nancy at ministeruuwc@gmail.com. Thank you. Here are the announcements for today. I am pleased to share with you that this past Sunday, we had 20 people join our first ever online town hall meeting. It was great to see everybody. Out of that conversation came the energy to form several new online classes. Please consult your recent church bulletin for more information or contact Reverend Nancy directly. Also, Rio the dog continues to need your recycled newspapers. Please leave your contributions in the plastic bin outside the social hall door. Thank you. It's time now for the lighting of our chalice. If you have a personal chalice or candle to light, draw it closer now. Please join me in the words of our chalice lighting as they appear on your screen. May the fire of our chalice be a healing flame, a flame that purges infection, destroys dead tissue, and commits its energy to the passion of healing our brokenness. Thus cleansed, may we leave the detritus of life behind us and embrace a brilliant future. Shalom and amen. Please join me now in affirming our aspirations as they appear before you. Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom. Now Reverend Nancy will lead us in a moment for centering.
I invite you now to sit back comfortably wherever you are. Uncross your ankles, knees, wrists. Let the energy flow through your body. Close your eyes gently if you are comfortable doing so. Begin to focus on your breathing. Breathing fully and deeply, in and out, letting your mind drop into the soothing rhythm of your breath. Inhaling peace, exhaling tension. In and out, letting your mind go blank. And then into your inner stillness, let the rope line of your life appear. Notice its condition. Is this rope thick or thin? Is it braided or coiled? Or is it smooth? Is it frayed at any place along its length? Where there are frayed fibers, smooth them with your hand, tucking them into place. Smooth them with the healing energy of your hand until they rejoin the main rope. Run your hands over the rope, smoothing and healing it. Know that you can return to heal areas of stress in the future. Give your rope a loving pat for now, and then return your attention to your breathing. Breathing fully and deeply, in and out. And when you are ready, open your eyes to the here and now. Shalom. It is time now for us to share our joys and concerns. If you have a personal joys and concerns candle at home, draw it closer to you now. I invite you to light it when we light our final white candle. We begin today with a short verse and a special candle to honor the life of Natalie Hechter, who died this past Thursday. Although Natalie has asked that no memorial service be held for her, we remember her as a beloved member of our congregation. Natalie was an artist. This verse is titled, "The Canvas is Complete." Energy of color swirling, bold and delicate, the spectrum dancing. Line of shape and shadow curving, angling, defining, softening. Design developing, pattern emerging. The work of a lifetime, her canvas is complete. Today, we also hold continued concern for the health of several of our members. For Bram, who continues to cope with pain as she awaits surgery to relieve it in the near future. For Jimmy, who is engaged in solving the medical mystery he presents to his healthcare team. For Laurel's daughter Liz, we hold joy and a tiny bit of concern as she moves cross-country from Chicago to California to participate in an internship at a winery. We rejoice at this new opportunity, even as we hold cautious hope that her travels will be safe, including getting her 2 cats from here to there on the plane. We share too in the joy of being part of our congregation and learning how to be together in new ways, from last week's Zoom meeting to brand new classes. We rejoice also in the possibility of new projects and work to do together as we seek to support the school children of Rio Rancho in what will be a brand new educational experience for them. As life moves on through the pandemic, we rejoice together as we respond to the challenge to find meaning and purpose in new ways, and we find that we can succeed at that. For all of these joys and concerns, we offer our thoughts and prayers, lighting this final white candle for those that still remain in our hearts and minds. For all of the ongoing learning about anti-racism, for the demand for new practices and policies in the business world and in government, we hold joy. For all that remains undone, for policies and practices of individuals and organizations that oppress and victimize in keeping with racist lines, we hold deep concern. For the victims of racial violence everywhere, for their struggle and for their lives, we light this red candle. Shalom. And now Bram will share our animal ministry moment with us.
Millions of people who otherwise would be completely lost in their minds and endless past and future concerns are taken back by their dog or cat into the present moment again and again, and reminded of the joy of being. This poem is a cat. It's called We Both Know. Peace, joy, bliss. We both know in a moment I'll be racing across the room. We both know in a moment I'll be racing up the wall. We both know in a moment I'll be causing your heart to pound as I leave debris in my wake. But right now, in this moment, in this second, in this space, between my head and your chest, I want you to know my heart is full, my world complete. My gosh, I'm happy. And now that we both know, don't mind as I now dig my claws into your torso to help propel me to parts unknown. Now we will enjoy a moment with friends and family with me and Roxy.
Today I'm visiting with Bramcast Hecht at the home in Rio Rancho that she shares with her partner Roxy, who didn't want to appear in the video. They share their home with their cat Rocket Man and their guinea pig Magic Micah.
That's Magic Micah. Happy little boy. Yeah.
Here's a photo of Bram and Roxy when they first met.
Our anniversary is really 58 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. We were 5 years old.
And I was allowed to take one photo of them as they are now. Both Bram and Roxy are artists. Here are some drawings that were done by Roxy.
And Roxy likes the regular pencil or the graphite pencil, and I gravitated towards the color pencil. But we were very young when we started drawing. I was 14 and I did this picture of my schnauzer.
So how did you get into art to begin with?
Just love animals, and that was one of the ways of showing it and being around them.
Here's Bram at work in her studio. Yep, she likes working not at a table, but on the bed.
I used to do regular color pencils like these guys, but I by mistake bought a pastel pencil and saw how vibrant it was, and I decided that I was going to go to pastel pencil from then on.
Here are some pastels that Bram created. Bram sells some of her pictures, but she gives many of them away.
I'm very empathetic, and when somebody loses an animal, I usually wind up giving it away.
Bram did a picture of her own cat, Rocket Man. The cat seems to like posing. Did you know that Bram is also a musician? She plays bass guitar.
That's Black Sabbath's Iron Man.
In the past, you've seen Bram and Roxy pull up to the church in their little yellow Volkswagen Bug. We hope we get to see them again soon.
I just miss everybody a whole lot, and I can't wait till we get together again.
It's time now for our moment for all ages, and I'm going to assume that you all remember my good friend, Rylee the Rabbit. Rylee, as a rabbit, as a bunny rabbit, is known for being very shy and often scared of loud noises, of big things, of things that move too quickly or come at him. Yes, hiding is what bunnies are good at. They go whoosh into bushes to keep themselves safe. Because you know what? When you're out here in the Southwest and you look like lunch to all the coyotes in the desert, well, being scared just makes sense. However, Rylee has learned some things about very sensitive issues in a story that we found and would like to share them with you. So I'm going to read you this story titled, When People Hurt My Feelings. And Rylee is going to help us get into the spirit of things. It goes like this. When people hurt my feelings, I'm afraid. When people hurt my feelings, I get angry. I can't figure out how to protect myself from that. When people hurt my feelings, my insides hurt. When people hurt my feelings, my head is confused. I can't figure out how to make sense of that. When people hurt my feelings, I feel broken. When people hurt my feelings, it hurts me all the time. I can't figure out how to be me. But when people hurt my feelings, I can say no. When people hurt my feelings, I can find a friend. I don't have to be broken. When people hurt my feelings, it doesn't mean they're right. When people hurt my feelings, I really am still me. I can heal. I can set boundaries. I can reject lies. I can respectfully disagree with destructive words and acts. When I need to, I can leave. I can find help. I will never let them be the boss of me. I can heal. I can heal. I can heal. Thank you, Rylee. That's a really good message for all of us to be aware of. And being as you do look a lot like lunch around here for an awful lot of critters, I'm guessing that you've been in a lot of experiences where your feelings were hurt. And here you are to tell us all about it. And if a little bunny can figure this out and share it with us, I'm pretty sure that we can all take it to heart. So thank you very much, Rylee. I'm going to put him back down in his little hutch under my lectern here. And now Susan will speak to our gifts of love and commitment.
Each week, we take a moment to thank everyone who has contributed to the well-being of our congregation through their generous pledges and gifts. Without your support, Westside could not maintain itself. Thanks to you, we are able to meet our expenses. Please know that your financial contribution is deeply appreciated. You may mail your gifts to Post Office Box 15146 in Rio Rancho, or use the PayPal button on our website. Again, thank you. Now, Reverend Nancy will share today's sermon, Strong at the Broken Places, with us.
There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the broken soul. Don't you wish that we had such a balm? A medicine that could make us whole when we hurt. A salve that would heal us from the inside out. Well, I am not necessarily thrilled to share this with you, but I'm going to tell you anyway that you can obtain the Balm of Gilead in a tin can on Amazon for $7.95, because what was originally the name of a city of refuge for the ancient Jews, a place of safety and a place of healing, because Gilead had lots of different kinds of evergreens, all of which produced resinous sap that was used to prepare medicines. And healers flocked to Gilead because there was so much of the raw materials that they needed. And the name Gilead has become synonymous with an archetype of a place of healing. So I would like us to be able to get in touch with that ancient idea of the balm of Gilead that heals us from the inside out, and let Amazon peddle its merchandise very separately. The thing is, we Unitarians, we're a denomination of spiritual refugees. The vast majority of us found our way here. We were not born into being UU. In our own congregation, less than 10% of our membership have been UU since childhood. Everyone else has found us. That means that in any given service or class or meeting, up to 90% of us came from someplace else once upon a time. And we came for a variety of reasons. Some of those reasons are benign. We came across some UU literature or promotional material, or we had a friend who loved their UU congregation and brought us so that we could love it too. But other reasons border on being malignant. Some of us are here because we were in so much pain in other places that we were fleeing, as well we should. Sadly, every religious group has included some kind of religious abuse. It exists wherever power-hungry, insecure people oppress others in order to exalt themselves. When people wield spiritual authority and abuse it in the lives of others, it creates great pain, often crippling their victim. The national average for changing churches ranges from 35 to 40% of all adult churchgoers. Pretty much all churches have people who arrived from other religious traditions, seeking everything from enlightenment to asylum. But we UUs have a lot more than most. 90% is more than double the overall percentage of adults who are moving around, which makes us special. We can look at humanity with Ernest Hemingway and say, the world breaks everyone, and afterward, some are strong at the broken places. This is true to some degree, no matter where we look. When we look in our own backyard, UUs are looking at a lot of spiritually injured people in need of healing. You know, when I first came here a little more than 5 years ago, I started asking people why they were UU. I expected, I sort of hoped, to hear positive statements about the depth and breadth and the fullness of UU spirituality and how participating in this congregation had enriched their lives. I didn't. Instead, what I heard was, well, it's not, fill in the blank. Almost everyone named something negative that they were working to avoid or to compensate for in some other tradition as being responsible for their journey here. Various beliefs and practices had hurt them, either through direct statements or the exclusion of themselves or their loved ones. And they weren't all the same either. In fact, The variety of injury was mind-boggling. Many different kinds of trauma brought people here, and I am glad that you're all here. You are here for good reason. Unitarian Universalism is broad and flexible. I'm not sure what you'd have to do or believe to be asked to leave. There's room for pretty much everyone. Well, actually, I do know what it would take. It would take a deliberate, destructive evil that contradicted all 7 of our principles and endangered the congregation before that would happen. And even then, we'd be worried about infringing on the rights of the individual and having a big debate about individualism versus individuality for a very long time. The bottom line is that being you is a spiritual safety zone for many people, and that is a very good thing. The fact is that we have many refugees from other religious traditions. It's important that we pay attention to that because it means we have some very special needs among our congregation. As a whole, we need to learn how to respect and respond to those needs. Sometimes to explore them, sometimes to help heal them, and always with a caution not to be ruled by them. That's a delicate balancing act. How do we help people heal without getting so caught up in or affected by their pain that it distorts our collective vision? So here's how I would like to respond to that today. I'm going to lay out a definition, a description of spiritual trauma for us. Then we're going to explore some potential responses on behalf of individuals. And lastly, we're going to examine how we, as a congregation, can be a place of healing, a city of refuge like Gilead. And yes, you will hear a little bit more about that again later. But first, let's go back to last week's material about spirituality being the core of ourselves, the part of us that is more than the sum of our parts. We said that spirituality was an inherent capacity in every human being. Our human spirit is distinct from and also fully integrated with all of our parts, as we see in the description of humanity as being mind, body, and spirit. Our human spirit is transcendent. It creates meaning and purpose out of the patterns our bodily senses and minds discern. And like our bodies and minds, it can be injured. It can be injured by itself, or the injury can occur as a result of bodily or mental harm. Spiritual trauma is like a lot of things. There's more than one kind and more than one way to suffer with those kinds. For example, lots of us break bones. Some of us heal quickly with minimal pain. Others never regain full function. All broken bones are still broken until they heal. All broken spirits are still broken until they heal. Now, left untreated, a broken bone is likely to result in a restricted range of use and pain on exercise. And left untreated, a broken spirit is likely to result in a restricted range of use and pain on exercise. Seriously, spiritual trauma is nothing to sneeze at. So, how do we respond to injury? Regardless of the kind of injury, blunt force trauma, infection, poison, the first step is identical. Stop the trauma. Get away from the source of injury, the source of infection. Get away from the poison. Rylee told us this. When it comes to spiritual trauma, the response is the same. make it stop. We know from the heinous religious abuse of children that the longer the duration of the injury, the more difficult it is to heal. And sadly, some spiritual injuries have been repeated and progressive, decimating their victims. The first step is stop. And we have to stop here to realize that not all traumatized persons are able to make the trauma stop on their own. That's one of the realities of trauma. The victim isn't in power and often can't set the limits and the boundaries they need. One of the first questions for anyone sharing an experience of spiritual trauma is, has it stopped yet? Are you safe from further harm? For many adults who come to UU congregations, the answer to that is yes. They set a boundary and made the injuries stop when they left their former congregation. But it can feel like the threat of trauma is still real. Certainly the memories and the crippling of their spirit are very real. So the first step is acknowledging the reality of spiritual injury and making sure it has stopped. There's often a lot of relief around that. It helps not to be hurt in the same way anymore. But the next step is a really hard one. Think about it. When you go to the ER with a messy wound, they expose it and clean it. If it's really bad, they debride it. Sometimes surgically, sometimes just by irrigating it with a mild saline solution. Either way, you feel a little exposed, a little bit turned inside out as they clean the wound. Depending on the type of wound you suffered, you may need stitches and bandages to put your body back together. But if it's really serious, you may be surprised to be told that the wound needs to stay open, to be packed with sterile dressings and medication so that it can heal from the inside out. If they slapped a few quick stitches on that kind of wound, it would get infected and not heal right. When it comes to wounds of the spirit, it's often the case that it's going to take a long time to clean it out and let it heal up with healthy tissue from the inside. This is hard. This is where it's tempting to just slap a spiritual band-aid on it and call it done. Because doing the real work of healing, identifying and removing the damaged understandings of meaning and purpose in our spirits, that's painful. Spiritual trauma can be recovered from. We can heal. We cannot undo it or make it as though it never happened. We have to find a way to create meaning and purpose around and through it. Sadly, there is no court of justice to remediate spiritual assault. This is not to excuse it or pretend that it ever served some ulterior noble purpose. No, absolutely not. Sometimes the meaningful sense we make of something is that the person who injured us is wrong. They had no right to say or do as they did, and we did not deserve it. Claiming that authority for ourselves is huge. Knowing that in our injured spirits enables us to heal. Maybe there is more meaning to be made of a particular traumatic event, and that's okay too. But just making that much, that's huge. If we were talking about bodily injury alone, we'd now be talking about follow-up medication and treatment to encourage new growth and healing. And then we'd be talking about rehab and learning to use the formerly broken body part again. Well, as you may have guessed, the process is pretty much the same for spiritual brokenness. We don't stop having or needing a healthy human spirit. The equivalent of medicine for the body is spiritual experiences that stimulate healing and growth in new ways. So people find their way here to Westside and 7 principles and 6 sources and a congregation that is respectful of their personal search for truth and meaning. And rehab? Well, rehab means learning to live again as a spiritually independent being. It may look different for each person, but it often, eventually, means becoming engaged in planning or leading spiritual events in addition to participating in them. Finding the spiritual courage to use your own painful experiences to inform and guide others appropriately is an amazing phenomenon. You see, it's very important not to ignore our own previous reality, our own personal history of trauma. If we slap that Band-Aid on too soon, we'll find ourselves pretending that it doesn't hurt anymore, except it does. If we don't clean out and examine all the detritus of our wound, we are still going to be in pain. And then our information and guidance to others will be based on our need to relieve our pain, not our full understanding of spiritual growth and recovery. We find ourselves tempted to advise everybody to avoid anything that pushes our very sensitive buttons, because we ourselves had such a painful experience. We limp a little in that particular spiritual direction. And in a very sad and peculiar way, perpetuating our point of view from our pain and suffering just extends that suffering to others. Carl Jung stated that healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. When we're healed, really healed, it doesn't control anyone else's either. So here is a short, true story about a young girl that I took care of many years ago. We'll call her Laura. Laura was 15. She had been physically and sexually abused by her father most of her remembered life. The effects of that abuse had taken a toll on her. She was chronically depressed and suicidal. She had sustained physical and mental and spiritual injuries. Now, Laura wanted to feel good about herself. She wanted to be able to go to church and to talk about God, just not her father's church or her father's God. You see, every Sunday, her father would go to confession, and every Monday, he resumed abusing Laura, like clockwork. He had explained it to her. He had a get-out-of-jail-free card when it came to being held accountable for his behavior. She hated him and his behavior toward her, and she hated his church and his God. Exploring the pain he had caused her was excruciating. The wounds ran very deep. One of her strengths was her defiance and her learned ability to take care of herself, to say no by getting responsible adult help. She learned not to blame herself for not being able to say no as a younger child, for tolerating the abuse as if she deserved it. She learned to recognize her father's malevolence as having nothing to do with her. And she got really brave. She joined the group of kids on the psych unit who were asking for religious services. She was very clear she did not want a representative of her father's church. She wanted something new and safe. We were ultimately able to give it to her by offering services on Friday evenings that were led by a woman who did not blame Laura for her injuries and who encouraged her to question and reason on her own. Laura did remarkably well over her hospital stay, which was extended. To the stunned amazement of some of the non-religious clinical staff, when she left, she identified the Friday evening service as one of the most healing parts of her hospitalization, better even than therapy, because her spirit had healed along with her mind and body. The teenager who had once believed that God wanted her raped regularly had become a feisty young person who used that trauma as a springboard to amazing sensitivity and strength. She had made meaningful sense of her life experiences. She would never forget them. They weren't going to go away, but they no longer controlled her or told her who she was. Laura sorted and reconnected the parts of herself in a way that gave her life. Laura is a survivor, as are many UUs. Our stories are different, but the goal and the work to get there is the same. That kind of spiritual health is assisted by belonging to a spiritual community in which our injuries are accepted as real, and we are encouraged to air them out, to open ourselves up, and to heal. And then those spiritual gains are supported by a congregation that gently challenges and desensitizes us so that we can grow again. Westside is often like the biblical city of Gilead, a city of refuge. A city of refuge was a place that you could go when you had been accused of awful things, and as a result, your life was at risk and you weren't safe. You see, you could flee from your hometown to a city of refuge, and as long as you were inside that city of refuge's walls, you could not be extradited. As long as you stayed there, you were safe. So it is here at Westside. Through our principles and practices, we really do offer balm for the wounded soul. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the broken soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my life's in vain, but then a healing spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the broken soul. May we be that healing place. Shalom and amen. And as always, we invite your response to today's service, no matter when you view it. You may add your comments on our YouTube page or email me directly at ministeruuwc@gmail.com. Thank you for your previous comments and for those that I am sincerely hoping that you will continue to leave. It is time now for us to extinguish our chalice. If you have a personal one at home, draw it closer to you now. I invite you to read the words on your screen with me as I speak them here. Let us extinguish our chalices together. Though extinguished from sight, our chalice flame never burns out. It glows within our hearts, comforting us, healing us, inspiring us to live fully and deeply. May we embrace the healing our flame offers and live our lives with joy. Shalom and Slava. May you find the courage to heal, the faith to learn, and the wisdom to grow both because of and in spite of the injuries of your life. May you grow strong at the broken places. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere you go, whoever you are with, and however you have need. Shalom and amen.